Scientifically speaking, spiritual food consists of higher energies. Blessing is in the acceptance of the supermundane energy. It is available to everyone who desires to turn to it. Imagine currents of energies constantly pouring down from the spiritual plane onto the material world, superabundantly, at every moment, like a warm rain. Eternally beating, ever beating, the rain of spiritual influences falls ceaselessly on humanity, refreshing, quickening, and awakening the human more and more to interdependent greatness, spiritually, morally, and materially, with all that is. This blessing is everywhere and at any time in the air, and therefore available to everyone. This explains why so often ideas and inventions emerge at various parts of the world, simultaneously but independently of each other. The fiery world brings us flashes of illumination, similar to lightning flashes in the coarse manifestation of a thunderstorm. Just as storms always supply Earth with a purified store of prana, so does the fiery world constantly pour out waves of influences. It is a pity that the receivers are few, but if one were to begin to exercise the consciousness for communion with the fiery world, then such a receiver could naturally be confirmed. In meditation, you create a condition that allows you to consciously absorb these higher energies. The true power comes when the whole being is overwhelmed by silence and an energy is generated that permits communion with the higher world. We know these hours of surging energy. There is an exchange of energies between above and below. According to the law of correspondence, the higher world responds to your aspirations. When humanity fills the space with its quests, space responds by sending higher energies. The more you make your vessel ready to receive, the more you move on to meet the upper world, the more you will be able to attract from above. Even as in life one hastens to meet the postman, in the same way must one stretch out one's hand towards our sending. By keeping the aura pure, help the messengers to reach you. The sun-like heart of the Agni Yogi absorbs all cosmic energies as in a spatial funnel, feeling each vibration. The impetuous heart goes to meet each fiery energy halfway. This exchange must be cultivated. The receipt must take place consciously. He who does not know or does not want to know about these currents of higher energies will benefit from them to a very limited extent only. Even under the impact of these cosmic currents, the human will has a great significance. He who does not wish to accept these currents will experience a very moderate reaction, but voluntary acceptance will give a very accelerated effect. When the link with hierarchy is firm and conscious, then, both for the sender and for the receiving one, the manifestation of best obtainable effects is easy. Most transmissions, unfortunately, are lost because they were not taken up. The supermundane current works incessantly, but it is man himself who rejects the valuable messages. So you have to open your heart consciously to receive the higher blessing. The stream of life produces a continuous inflow of energy. When one's receptive centers are open, nothing can impede this inflow. Let nothing escape from this treasure, which is destined for you personally. People call this receipt inspiration. From it they derive their greatest possibilities as artists, thinkers, statesmen, and inventors, but also as normal men in need of consolation, elevation, and knowledge. Not being linked in spirit with the higher energies, man truly destroys his best possibilities. All honest creators, for example the great composers, have always acknowledged that their work is entirely based on inspiration from above. One is, so to speak, just an instrument on which the universe plays. One does not compose, one is being composed. According to the law of correspondence, you can adjust the harp of your being to the higher currents so that you vibrate in harmony with them. Each one should attune first of all his own instrument. Only then is receptivity acquired. If receptivity will not be developed, then man will lose his most precious apparatus. You can respond like a tuning fork or a well-tuned string to a higher vibration. Then the spirit resounds through you. But it is nevertheless your string that vibrates and your sound that is being produced. What is the treasure of the heart? Consonance with the cosmic consciousness. When the heart, besides its own rhythm, even partakes in the cosmic rhythm. The reception of the blessing of the higher spheres requires the tuning of your organism to these higher energies. This is similar to setting a radio on a certain frequency. If you do not vibrate at the frequency on which these higher energies are being sent, you will not be able to receive them. If you are tuned to a lower frequency, you will receive only transmissions of lower beings from the lower strata of the subtle world. In order to receive a thought or an answer from space, it is necessary to reach a complete correspondence of vibrations. The same principle as in the radio. People catch thoughts from space much more often than they think, but these thoughts are not always lofty. Space is filled with all sorts of mental messages. And we receive exactly what is in correspondence with our own mental receiver. That is why the teaching insists so much upon the purification of the heart and thought, so that we may resound with the thoughts from the higher world. The so-called inspirations often are from nothing else but this harmony of vibrations. You must consciously attract the higher currents and reject the lower ones. At times it is useful to sit calmly, directing one's spirit to infinity. It is like a shower from the far-off worlds. Thought is a magnet which attracts positive currents, and it is like a shield which refuses admission to negative currents. We had already said, and will see again and again, everywhere, labor and experience. This also applies to the communion with the higher worlds. About it, there is nothing mysterious or unscientific. We are getting closer to it according to the quality of our striving. Thus, not in the manifestation of a special world, but through the quality of our daily labor, do we approach the fiery world. The adaptation, the attunement to the higher vibration takes place by our purifying our being, by our bringing the divine within us more and more to expression, so that we become more and more similar to the higher powers from which the transmissions emanate. How can one expect sendings when the spirit does not unfold to meet the light? The purer and the more selflessly you approach the higher spheres, the clearer and the more abundant will be what you receive from there. The measure of devotion determines the measure of receiving. He who climbed up the highest on the ladder of hierarchy will be entrusted with the best gift. The spatial fire is assimilated by the centers of an Agni Yogi. Who can transmit to humanity the subtle currents? Only an Agni Yogi, through his high thought. Each refined sensation means contact with the spatial fire. Therefore, only the highest Agni Yogi transmits to humanity the subtle's receptivity. The entire evolution is based on refinement. If you want to become a channel for the higher energies, you have to purify and refine yourself in such a way that you are able to absorb these finest currents. Response can be given only to the pure in heart. A dirty vessel is not suitable for the receipt of pure manna, bread from heaven. All psychically subtle organisms assimilate the cosmic currents. The sensations of a psychically subtle organism differ greatly from the sensations of coarse organisms. Hence, only the refined receptivity can respond to the higher currents. Only he who is finest is qualified to receive the highest. The subtlety determines the quality of each reception. Sensitiveness applied by the Spirit gives clarity of perception. Who resounds most intensely to the currents of space? He who is most refined and most elevated.